Good morning. Today is February 14th, 2026. Happy Valentine's Day. This is an authentic conversation, and we're really happy to be here with you today. We've got several topics we want to talk about, and I'm going to kind of turn it over to Darren for a minute. My co-host. Sorry, my co-host.
Yeah, we'll go around.
I'm Sonny Hamilton.
I'm Darren Hamilton.
And John Walser.
Okay.
So since this is Valentine's Day, we're going to start it. It seems like a lot of people are focused on love today. So one of the things that makes me a little bit crazy about politics is all the virtue signaling. And we see so much of that with everybody thinks that they're showing love. And so the one thing, you've got the left that is virtue signaling, saying that they love more, basically, because you've got to love your neighbors. You've got to accept every culture into yours. You've got to, whether they've come legally, whether they've come illegally, it doesn't matter. They deserve the same rights that everybody else has. And so
Whether
that is
they're gay, trans,
does not matter.
whatever they are, they, them.
Yeah, you're supposed to just accept everybody and everything because that is love. But those of us on the right, we're viewing love as no, I don't have to love those who rape and pillage my neighbors. So it still has to do with the neighbors, but it's not love to accept the things, I guess, that God hates, honestly. And so even with that whole virtue signaling thing, it's really not virtuous if it's not honestly virtuous. And so anyway, we got talking about our experiences, and I'm hoping that we can kind of recreate it a little bit, because it was amazing, the little conversation that we had around this table. And just but I think it helps if we understand these concepts. Then it will help us understand love, and it'll help us understand why we're in such the toxic culture that we're in. And John had a really good explanation. And so I guess this is probably as good a time as any, John, to go through your explanation.
Yeah. So we walk around with a bunch of baggage.
Everybody has it.
Mm-hmm.
And we go through, in our formative years, we go through 3 experiences starting in about the age 3 or 4 years old. Mine was mom and dad would make me sit at the kitchen table until all my food was ate. Everybody else was all off doing their thing, but there was something wrong with me. So,
you interpreted that something was wrong with you.
Yep. And so when we're born, we're born with clear vision. And thank you. And that first experience gives us a lens on how we see the world then. So you go further up into school, maybe you have friends, or you don't get along with friends or something. There's experiences in your, up to like 6th or 7th grade, 8th grade. And it could be anything. Everybody's is different. Mine was I really didn't get along with anybody in school. So on top of that lens that you already have, there's another lens. So you see the world.
Look?
Yeah.
What does that do to your vision?
It looks totally ridiculous, right? But that's how you view the world. It really messes up your view. So you keep going in school, and maybe you're rejected by a girl or guy, or a job prospect or something early in your 18, 19 years old. And there's one more. Now, you're carrying around this view, which by the way is really, I can't even tell who you are, right? But you carry this around and you go and you try to get jobs or you try to have relationships. And
Or you get into politics.
or you get into politics. Yeah, absolutely. Um, so in 2013, I went through a program called Landmark. It was Landmark Worldwide now, I think is what they call it. 3 days and an evening. And you get that in that 3 days and an evening, you get your view back. You want your glasses back?
Yeah, yes, I can. So I can
So,
see.
and it isn't that those views don't pop up every now and again because it's more just the recognition that you have power over it. Rejection is probably one of the bigger ones that people experience.
Everybody experiences
Everybody
rejection.
experiences rejection, whether it's a guy or a girl or a job prospect or whatever.
Let me interject something here because before I forget it, because it's really important. I believe everybody experiences loss, everybody experiences hurt,
Yep.
everybody experiences abuse,
Yep.
everybody experiences fear, guilt, shame, all of those things.
Yep.
But
How you deal with them.
it's how you deal with them. And a lot of times something within our nature believes that no, mine's worse. My abuse was worse than yours.
Right.
My marriage was worse than yours.
When we really have
My
no clue.
childhood. Yeah.
No clue. I mean,
We have no clue what
no.
that other person is going through.
No.
Right.
So I have talked to some people, and I guarantee you their abuse was worse than mine. But point being, we all have dealt with. We've all dealt with a lot of crap
Mm-hmm.
in our days.
Yeah. And I mean, rejection is rejection, right? I mean,
Yep.
it still hurts.
It's rejection.
It's rejection.
Yeah.
But you can look at it in a different lens and go, nope, I'm not going to let it affect me
Yeah.
the way that it used to before you went through that program. So,
John, tell about the example that he gave of
The
walking
chairs.
around the chairs and the
yeah.
stuff.
So instead of the glasses, the guy that was
Facilitator.
the facilitator of that program at that point in time, instead of using glasses, he used chairs. And so he used 2 chairs and a trash can. And at the very end, he walked over to one of the ladies that was in the front row, had her stand up. And he goes, "Now, would you like to have a relationship?" Meanwhile, he's carrying all this stuff around him.
2 chairs and a garbage can,
Yeah.
you're saying.
And realizing or saying that she has the same baggage that he does. And now you have all these people that are walking around not only trying to have relationships, but they're trying to have relationships and not knowing what they don't know.
No, they don't see
They
don't
don't
see
see
the
the
chair.
baggage.
They don't see the garbage
No.
can. They don't.
Of their own.
Because
you mean.
they're
Of their own.
still
Yeah.
they still have the 3 pair of glasses on.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So-
more than likely they're still seeing it as everybody else's fault.
Yep.
And that's what we're seeing. Honestly, that's what we're seeing. With the 2 different sides that are fighting. The left is blaming ICE. They're seeing it as a problem. No, they're just loving their neighbor, and it's these crazy governments.
So
Well, it's just like I was saying a little bit earlier before we pushed record. 535 senators and
Mhm.
U.S. representatives walking around in the same building, all with baggage of their own, bumping around.
Yep.
Going, how do we fix? How do we fix? Well, how can you fix a nation when you haven't even fixed yourself?
To change
So-
the world, we have to
Change ourselves.
What, Sonny, you
So-
keep trying to say?
And-
we keep interrupting you.
Oh, well, I set that up on purpose, by the way.
So all 3 of us sitting around here have been married and divorced. And for myself, mine was in 2009 is when the marriage seriously started falling apart. And without going into a lot of details, there was some affair going on, but I wasn't perfect either. So I accept that I did wrong as well. So I'm not going to, and have not. I've maintained throughout the years is that I'm not going to just sit there and bash all the time because it's not healthy. But so 2009 is when that occurred. But in 2021, April, I got a message from the woman that was involved. And out of the blue, I never expected that at all. But she contacted me and told me she was so sorry for all the pain that I had endured, and she was sorry for her part in it. And I won't go into the depth of what all she said, but it was very heartfelt. I felt it was. And so my response to her was, "Dear, you fill in the blank. Um, one of the hardest things in life is to admit when we've done wrong. I know I've done wrong in my life as well. It takes courage and humbleness to ask for forgiveness. I've done a lot of healing in the past 12 years and contribute much of my peace and success to an extremely kind and intuitive counselor who provided me with the tools I needed to apply to my life so that I could move on. I've learned that it's not pain, anger, and suffering that define who and what I am, but it rather the healing, peace, forgiveness, and growth I've learned from these experiences. And reflecting back on that time in my life, I realize I forgave you 10 years ago, as I seldom think on that, and I don't allow myself to dwell on it. I really appreciate and accept your apology. I hope that you too can find peace and healing. God bless."
So I said this before, but there's a part that I didn't say before we pushed record. Actually, that was some pretty serious awakening on her part
It
and
was.
Yeah.
courage on her part
It
to
was.
send that to you.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to say again, you and Darren wouldn't be together today
No.
if it was not for that
Right.
Yeah.
that response that you responded to her.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
the healing so all of us go through some healing, and all three of us sitting around here have healed. Maybe we're in different stages of healing, but
every now and again it rears its ugly head,
oh, of course.
but you
But
have the power to.
you have the
Exactly.
tools. You have the
Yeah.
power because you've
And-
done it before.
Right.
Yep.
And what I told her is that I choose not to dwell on it. And that's the big thing. It can come up and raise its ugly head, but if you dwell on it, and one of our ministers used to tell us that thoughts come into your head, but it depends on whether or not you let them make a nest and bury it and keep it there. But if you don't, it can go, But if you let that thought make a nest in your head, it's going to stay.
Yeah, my grandfather's sister used to say something along, Aunt Dode. Yeah, don't let a thought build a nest in your head.
Yeah.
Something like that,
And-
negative
or,
thought.
Or have somebody live in your
Yeah.
head.
Somebody. And they're
And-
going to live in your head if you do not let go of them, if you do not forgive them.
Right. And there are people out there, you see people who, and I will be the first to admit, is that, yeah, Trump does do some memes that are kind of a little
On the edge.
On the edge. We find
Over the edge.
Yeah, we actually sometimes kind of find them funny, and sometimes we find them, it's like, okay, I can see why somebody might be a little offended by that. But the whole point is there are people out there who allow him to live in their head, and they are so triggered by anything. You
TDS.
say his
Yeah.
name and they are triggered. They'll just
Yeah.
start spouting off
Yeah.
and just like angry. But you ask, I've seen these people out there talking to these people, and they say, tell me something that he's done. That 'cause
Something
they'll say he's
racist
racist. He's
that
racist.
he
Okay,
said.
well, tell us what he's done. Well, I can't think of it right now. Or yeah, I'll come back to that. And then you say, come back. I'd say, okay, can you tell us the racist part again? And then they get angry.
hmm
And rather than actually addressing it and saying, okay, here's what I think, whether it's left or right, I mean, if you're at that point, you have that total anger with somebody living in your head, you're not going to be able to actually uh, clear your head to think,
And make a good rational decision.
no.
One of the interesting things that I learned early on with triggers is people have a terrible relationship with triggers. People have terrible relationships, but some of the reason they have terrible relationships is because they're terrible relationships with triggers. Triggers should actually be your friend because they're showing you the aspects of yourself that need to heal.
Yep.
If you have, it's those lenses that John was talking about. When I started my journey, I viewed the stuff as boxes in my attic. You've got one box in your head that's fear, another of anger and guilt and shame, and all these different boxes. And when somebody triggers you, you run up into your attic and you pull this experience out to justify your anger
hmm
and your fear or your whatever. And it's those triggers. But once I discovered that when I would forgive, when I would learn to let go of those things, then you literally empty those boxes. So, John's experience, you let go of the garbage can, the chair, you take off a pair of those lenses, those glasses, and you start seeing the world through a completely different
hmm
lens, a completely different view.
Yep.
And all three of us, something that hadn't even hit me before until this morning as we were talking, all three of us, I mean, I've known John, we've known each other our whole lives. We've only known Sonny for almost a couple years now. But one of the main things that attracted me to Sonny at the get-go was I would ask every single woman that I would date or want to date, it's like, what did you do wrong in your marriage? Sonny was literally the first woman who could say, yeah, these are the things that I did wrong. This is the part that I played. Everybody else, it's so easy to go. I mean, they
He
could,
did it. It's his
yeah,
fault.
they could
Her
reach a
fault.
laundry list
Yep.
of stuff. But when we start letting go of that garbage that we're packing, then you won't be triggered anymore. I mean, I
Right.
know I
Yeah.
trigger people.
Well, and I attribute a lot of my success of getting over a lot of that garbage to a really good counselor who actually she gave me the tools, but I would ask her, well, I can't go back to him. Yes, you can. And I'm like, no, I cannot. And I was so angry at her. I was just like ready to bop her one. I was so angry.
Triggered.
I was very triggered. And she goes, but you can. And I'm like, no, I can't. And she goes, yeah, you can. Question is, do you want to? Oh, wow. What a concept. I never thought of it that way. So when you start thinking of things differently in whatever the situation, you step back from it and go, okay, I can. Do I want to?
But that allowed you to be authentic with yourself.
Yeah, it did. So those were the things that changed for me. And I know you guys had
Yeah, that's
things
what I
to
was.
yourselves.
That's what I was going to say before I went on my rabbit trail, rabbit hole. All three of us we've all used a different, I don't know,
Approach.
platform
Yeah.
approach. Yeah. So Sonny, I'm not a very big fan of counseling because I know too many people that have gone to counseling for 30, 40 years, and they can tell me all they want about how healed they are, and it's like, oh no, your life doesn't back up that you're healed. You're still
Pardon
just
me.
as triggered. You're still just as big of a train wreck, and so I mean, she's shown me, but at the end of the day, she still made the decisions to change. And even John, his approach was Landmark. I went to Landmark. It wasn't a very positive experience for me. I mean, I ended up giving him the advanced course thing that I had purchased this advanced course there, and I ended up giving it to him because it didn't. My approach was more through the spiritual aspect, and so that was what worked for me.
It was
And
life changing for me.
yeah, and so it was life changing for him, and he still talks about it.
But it also opened up the Bible even more.
Right? Yeah.
That's where I get my language,
Mm-hmm.
where I go down the rabbit holes with language.
Yeah.
And so that's really true of all of us. So we've seen the progress you've made, I've
Yeah.
made, and everybody out there. You can make, I'm sure lots of you have made lots of different, use different
Approaches.
approaches, and you've healed or not healed or whatever, and you know what you need to do, or hopefully you do. Hopefully, and if you don't, seek one of those types of approaches.
Absolutely. I mean, so they don't have Landmark in Spokane anymore, but it is over in Seattle.
Uh,
Just get on Landmark Worldwide.
And
And it's not a
if-
paid promotion or anything, but it's life changing enough for me that
yeah,
I would scream from the mountaintops telling everybody go.
and if you need counseling, I mean, I was just a wreck when my marriage fell apart, so I need somebody to talk to who wasn't related, because everybody who was related had a different opinion, and I would be the same way, I'm sure. So, but whether or not how you react to it is a choice you made. And when I told her, you helped me do this, and she goes, I didn't do anything
yeah.
except for give you the tool. You did it. And I looked at that and I'm like, wow, that's really amazing to have somebody actually give you that reassurance. Just like when you went through that thing, if you learn yourself or you reading,
Yeah.
you realize, okay, I did it. I did it. I went beyond that. I figured out, I used whatever this platform was, whatever this was, reading, doing whatever to get well.
Yeah. Here's another really important aspect, I think, to look at it too, because it doesn't. Not everybody can afford counseling. Not everybody can afford to go to Landmark. Not everybody can afford all those things. But all three of our approaches, they all worked. But I did nothing but get on my knees and open my Bible. And so the important thing is that we quit blaming other people, that we have a strong desire that we want to change, because if you look at your life, if you have not healed, then your life is a train wreck.
Right.
And it's miserable. These poor people that are screaming in ice face and protesting, they're miserable individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And
And you can see it on them. You can see
you can
just by
see it.
looking at them.
You can see
so-
the confusion.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And we've talked about this before. We talked about this before we went on air. Is that these people are out there and they start screaming or they kick and they do whatever. And yeah, maybe they're getting paid to do a certain amount of it. But part of that, you can tell there is some major problems inside
Mm-hmm.
that they have not dealt with Otherwise, they would not be going against law enforcement. I don't care what your view is. You cannot be persuaded to believe something unless you are really um, you're still unhealed from
Yeah.
something.
I made this comment to a friend that was really struggling uh, with seeing what was going on, and she was kind of coming from it from the opposite side of the coin than what I view it from. And I made the comment to her that I have a feeling, because I know this person is very empathic, where empathic being you feel other people's pain. And I really believe that these people who are protesting, many of them are probably empaths, where they are feeling the pain of their neighbors. They're feeling the pain, and they have no idea as to how to deal with that pain. But unfortunately, it's an unhealthy, there are healthy empaths, and there's unhealthy empaths. And the more we lean towards the unhealthy, the more we do the stupid things like uh, get ourselves hurt,
Chaos,
scream,
chaos
chaos.
breeds chaos.
Yeah.
Right. When
Satan is
you
the author of confusion. If
exactly, and you could change that and say Satan is the author of chaos because he
yeah,
loves
he is.
chaos.
God
And
loves order. God loves order, and Satan loves
Right.
chaos. So if you're creating chaos, you're following the wrong
right.
voices in your head.
So the other thing that's going on is that this year is a 250th year of freedom for our country. This is the 250th year.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. So on July 4th, I know we should be celebrating. I know patriots will be celebrating. I can't say that for everyone because I'm not sure everybody is at a place where they can heal enough to appreciate.
It's just so hard for most of us, especially those of us on the right, to not see that we live in an amazing country. It's not perfect. We're not perfect. You're not perfect. Sorry, but we're not perfect. But it's an absolutely amazing. John, I can hear you now. I'm perfect.
I'm the chosen one. What are we talking about here?
Give each other crap about being the chosen one, being perfect. But no, we live in an amazing country, and we should. I mean, people are fighting to get into this
Burst in
country
my
for crying
bubble, I
out loud.
tell you what.
And yet you hear some of these athletes at the games,
Stupid movie stars.
Well, and these athletes just and they're talking about how I'm so ashamed of my country. Well, if you are, please step aside, let somebody else play, because if you do not love this country and want to represent it, go represent a country that you want to. You go live there and represent them.
Hey, you've got the natural abilities, you've got the work ethic, you've got everything. Go.
So it was either Loretta Lynn or Dolly Parton. I can't remember which one. I'd have to get on YouTube and try to find it. But they were in one of the two of those was in an interview one time, probably 15, 20 years ago. And the interviewer asked them what their political affiliation was. And she said, I'm just here to entertain.
That's probably
And
Dolly.
that's the way that it should be.
Yeah. Because Dolly has never been comfortable getting into politics.
Yeah, and I can't remember Loretta Lynn ever being very comfortable with it either.
I don't remember her either. She was always very, she was always very conservative dressed and everything.
So is Dolly.
I love Dolly. Believe me, don't get me wrong. I love Dolly. I think she was a great singer. And
it's commendable wanting to pattern your looks
like
after a hooker.
Opposite.
There's a young up and coming blonde that and I actually listened to her this morning. I can't remember her name. Emily Roberts, I think, if I remember right. But you can turn her music on and turn her on Walk Away, and if you didn't know who it was, you would think it was Dolly.
Oh,
wow.
I mean, scary,
Yeah.
similar.
Wow.
So, when we talk about celebrating our 250th year, is unfortunately what we know is that the deep state, okay, I know this may be triggering to some of you, but the way I see it is they have their minions out rioting in sanctuary cities and states over immigration deportation laws. And Darren and I looked this up because we were really curious. And since we're going to talk about this, we thought, okay, so when did these laws start?
Because we are a
Really?
nation of laws. You have to have laws.
Right.
And so it's ridiculous
some of
not
these
to.
laws went into effect nearly 100 years ago. Nearly 100 years.
1929, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, do you want to talk about that one?
If you've got it
1929?
pulled up, maybe you should.
Okay,
'cause-
in 1929, there was a passage of, and get this, it's called the Undesirable Aliens Act. Okay, not the most politically correct law, but that's what it was. And it said that the first offense was a misdemeanor and the second offense was a felony. But regardless, they wouldn't put these criminals back out on the street. They would take these criminals and they would deport them.
So when we want to say that they're not illegals, they're undocumented. Well,
It's just
No.
word salad.
It's word salad, but the
exactly
reality-
what it is.
It's just justifying it is all they're doing.
the reality is it is a crime. I mean, one's a misdemeanor, but the second offense is a felony.
So you want to talk about your grandpa?
Yeah, so I know I've mentioned it before. My grandpa was Border Patrol, and he died in probably 1960 or something like that. He died way back, but here he was hauling illegals from the Canadian border down to Mexico, and they weren't having to go door to door, deal with rioters. I don't know, since I never got to know him and I never heard this, so I don't know if this is 100% factual, but I can't imagine that it's not. But they would have more than likely been working with law enforcement. Law enforcement would have turned them over to immigration because,
Held them.
yeah, law enforcement would have picked them up on the streets or wherever, trying to illegally cross into Canada. I don't know how they were catching them, but then my grandpa was involved in transporting them to Mexico. And I remember Mom talking about how he used to joke about the fact that they'd beat him back up to Port Hill, up to the Canadian border.
The illegal.
Well, yeah, the illegals. So they would have obviously arrested him once. So that was misdemeanor. Well, if they beat him back, then they had a felony. But we're supposedly a nation of laws, but yet, and we want to worry about ICE shooting them in the face or whatever, which is terrible. But if we would enforce the laws that we have on the books,
Yeah.
then we wouldn't have the issues that we have.
Right. So do you have it pulled up, John?
What's that?
The write up that we wrote?
Oh,
No, he's on-
yes, I do.
notes? Okay.
I'm on a rabbit hole.
Okay. Okay. We'll
that
go
goes
ahead.
along with
Okay.
goes along with. So
Okay.
we're
you go
talking
ahead.
about all the rioting and things
Yeah.
like that. So
Yeah, you go ahead and figure that. We'll continue on, and then you can interject when you're ready.
I'm
Okay.
ready.
Oh, you're ready. Okay.
So Q drop number 43. This was posted 11/2 of 2017. So future proves past, right?
Yeah, always
We've been hearing that for since
4,000 years.
true. 6,000 years.
Yeah, however many years.
However many years the earth is. So it says these crumbs,
flat
and
earth.
this is on the cue board. It says these crumbs are not meant to scare anyone, but merely to inform. Resistance will be dealt with swiftly. The core focus is removing entrenched and fortified bad actors within our federal government, past and present, as well as others. Simply be diligent. Now, we had this next part we haven't witnessed yet, and I don't know when it will happen, but future proves past. Phone numbers will be provided if you witness an uprising or other domestic violence in addition to 9/11 or 911. Any military scene is for your protection as well as to demonstrate our resolve. Watch for confirmation. So there's not going to be they're not going to let a lot of chaos get way, way, way out of control. It's going to be fast,
This is
swift, and clean.
Yeah, so the chaos that's going on right now is a distraction. We've been
It
talking
is.
about
And
that
they're
for a long
allowing
time.
that to happen
And they're
for
allowed the Patriots are allowing it. But and the deep state is orchestrating it. And so in 1952, going back to the laws, there was the Immigration and Nationality Act that reorganized the previous immigration statutes, and it maintained the same offenses as the 1929 Undesirables Alien Act.
Went from misdemeanor to felony, same.
Right. And then
Just changed the name to a more politically correct.
Yeah, and then in 1996, there was the passage of the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act. That's a long mouthful.
Yeah, it is.
And was signed into law on September 30th, 1996, and that became effective April 1st, 1997. So this was during
believe-
Clinton's
Yeah, I think so.
term,
That's what we've-
President Clinton's term. And then we had Operation Streamline, which was implemented in 2005, which mandated criminal charges for nearly everyone crossing the border illegally.
Was
That
that
was in
Bush? Did we come
2005.
up with? Was
Yeah,
Bush?
that happened during Bush's term. And then, so Trump, all he's doing is enforcing the same immigration deportation laws that President Clinton, President Bush, and President Obama enforced during their terms.
Mm-hmm.
And Obama had metal structures that he built that he caged the children in.
Yeah. You know, what's kind of fascinating with what I just saw flash through my head, you were talking about, we were watching some videos where these liberal women were complaining about the beta men, the weak
Yep.
men. You know, they don't have any strong,
Soy
stout,
boys.
yeah, men on their side. But if you really look at that, they don't like alpha men. They don't. I mean, that's
Nope.
their big issue. Trump is finally an alpha male that comes in
They
and
don't
is like,
like
no,
him.
we're going to enforce the laws.
Yep.
Bush, Clinton, Obama, all these beta presidents, the laws were there. If they would have enforced them, if the president's back when my grandpa was sheriff or border patrol, if they would have enforced the laws back there, if they would have enforced the laws in 1929,
Right.
we wouldn't have the issues today to where all of a sudden Trump has to step in and
Right.
go, no, the hammer's coming down now.
So during that time, the left did not protest or riot in the streets over the treatment of illegals until Trump came into the office. And then the left went
TDS.
apoplectic. Yep. They became, that means, if for those of you who don't know, that means they became overcome with anger or extremely indignant.
Apoplectic.
Yeah, apoplectic. Yep. And so President Trump has deported around 675,000 illegals. Over 2.2 million illegals have self-deported within the first year of Trump's second term. And you want to do the next one? Talking about
Obama. So Obama, he deported 3.1 million illegals, the largest in history. President Bush deported 2 million illegals. President Clinton deported over 12 million during his two terms, but 11.4 million were returns, often voluntary departures at the border, while the rest were formal deportations. So that's why it's kind of ridiculous that Trump
Right.
is getting into the trouble that he's in, and they're out
But
there
what the
screaming and
so
yelling.
what the patriots are allowing to happen, and this is what the left doesn't understand. Those of us on the right or MAGA patriots, we all understand this, is that he's allowing Americans to see the garbage that's going on from the
100%.
deep state. So he's allowing it
Yep.
because if he came in, and I know I've heard people say, why does he allow it? He shouldn't allow it. Okay, but if he came in and with a heavy, forceful hand and just said, we're stopping everything, and they stopped everything, wouldn't allow anybody to riot in the streets and different things, then they could actually say he was,
A dictator.
yeah, but he's not doing that. He's allowing them. I mean, they have the freedom to to protest, but they don't have the freedom to go out and burn and destroy and attack people.
The old saying, give someone enough rope, they'll hang themselves.
Yeah,
And that's exactly what they're doing,
it is exactly what they're doing.
you know? And by
Yeah.
the way, so all these new laws that you were just talking about for illegal immigration,
hmm
actually, July 6, 1798, there's already a law already on the books that's never been repealed.
Was that the Chinese one?
The Alien Enemy Act of 1798 authorized the United States president to detain or, so there's that word or, different, there you go again with language, or deport non-citizens from hostile nations during wartime or threats of evasion
hmm
or invasion. Sorry.
So,
So
yeah,
they didn't have to have all these other
no, they
laws.
didn't.
We
But
already
they
have laws on the books.
that right they have. But unfortunately, you get people who just do not go back and look at history. Even people in Congress, they don't know. They don't know the history. They don't know. They say they do, but they don't. You really look at them, and you can tell they do not understand some of them. Um, so during Obama's, Bush's, and Clinton's terms, many of the deportations were conducted just like what Darren said his grandfather did. Is they held the police, local and state police held um, the
The illegal.
illegal criminal in jail so that the ICE officers could come pick him up. Well, that was helpful because then they weren't out in the community. Although Obama's ICE officers did go out into the community as well. So we can't say that they didn't because
Yeah.
they did. And even CNN did a ride along with ICE officers during one of those deportations. And they were very friendly and very supportive. And there was no rioters in the street.
There again, clean and swift.
Yeah.
But there was everybody was for it then.
Right. Because they
then
weren't against Trump.
right. And during Clinton's, Bush's, and Obama's administration, members of the U.S. Congress and U.S. House of Representatives were very supportive of mass ICE illegal deportations. And they're on record. There's video of them actually saying, there's Chuck Schumer, there's Nancy Pelosi, there's even Obama,
Oh, yeah.
Clinton.
Hillary.
You have Hillary Clinton. You have so many of these. We watched them even just last night, where all of these people were very much for mass deportations.
Yeah. Immigration
Now,
enforcement.
now they are not. And the reason why is because it doesn't fit their narrative.
Right.
And the whole point is that when Trump came into office in 2017 and again in 2025, members of that's when they began to take issue with deportations. They really started heavily and trying to get people to abuse even MAGA people. I mean, Maxine Waters is on record saying if you see anybody from that administration or from, that MAGA, you tell them they're not welcome anymore. That's what she said. They're
Yeah.
not even welcome. They're
Get
not
in their
welcome.
face. Yeah.
Yeah, she was, and they've talked about
It's
they've talked
horrible
about
things.
they've talked about blood, having blood in the streets. Well, they've got blood in the streets now. That's what they wanted. They got it. Um, and the sanctuary cities and broader movement began in the early 1980s.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, driven by religious leaders and political activists providing refuge to Central American immigrants fleeing civil war, which is what you were talking about. So, and then again, going back,
Corrupt
here we
religion and corrupt politics is
Mhm.
always at the bottom
It
of
is.
every corrupt policy.
right.
Because but there again, virtue signaling, and if you have no wisdom or whatever you want to call it, then yes, it looks wonderful to invite these people in because they're coming from a war torn. Well, no, it would actually be more loving your neighbors and loving other countries and loving to take care of our own
Right.
and to help those other countries. Just like Trump wanting to, I mean, he's ended more wars, even though I'm not a huge fan of some of the things he's done in Israel and whatnot, but he has ended a number of wars.
Mhm.
And so we would be so much better off. It really would be more loving your neighbor, more love, if we would show those other countries, even Mexico, it would be more love to show, to help that country to heal, to fix its problems so that the people can stay home, so that they're not up here in America, not able to go back when their mothers and their fathers are sick. I see
Sure.
those people, and that just seems so cruel to me. And so yeah, religion and politics got together and came up with the sanctuary cities, and now you
Yeah.
have just
Now you
toxicity.
have exactly, and you have a tremendous amount. And this is not going to go very well for some of you who are on the left. You're not going to like it, but it's true. Is that there's a large number of white liberal women, and they're commonly known as Karens.
Sorry to all the Karens who are actually their name was given. Their given name is
Yeah.
Karen.
And the guys are Chads.
And but like Darren said, the Karens out there are complaining that there's not any beefy men. It's
No
like where's
alphas.
they're all on MAGA side. Well,
Like I was saying before, we all want to be the head of our households.
so, but now what we see on TV, we're seeing it just this week, is that Democrats are beginning to implode on themselves. You're seeing all you have to do. One guy actually said all you have to do is give them a microphone and they'll begin to eat their own, and he's right, they are, because the mainstream media was previously reported that Governor Walz and Mayor Fry had defeated ICE, and they were like so happy. Well, now they're raging at Democrats for what they call surrendering to ICE, and the left is calling Governor Walz and Mayor Fry absolute pathetic. It's like, okay, well, I mean they're really good at name calling, super good at name
Of course,
calling.
Trump
I
is a
can't-
little bit good at it too.
Well, he is, but I mean they have these nasty
they do.
things. So
They do.
I'll have to do some more digging and see if I can find it. But in the Q post somewhere, it says that by the time this operation is complete, the Democrat Party won't even exist.
and that's very possible if they continue on. Now, I think they can survive, but if they continue on this way, I don't know how they could.
I struggle to believe that it'll end just because there's always there's always going to be two sides. There's men, there's women, there's
Well, when we say
up, there's
survive,
down. and-
I think what we mean is being able to win a lot of
oh,
elections. They may still survive, but they're not going to have, if they continue on this course.
You won't see another Democrat president for the next
But
40 years.
and it shouldn't be that way. Is they're hanging themselves is
Yeah.
what they're doing.
Yeah, no, they are.
And so the other thing that Tom Homan, he announced, he's the border czar, and he announced this week that they found over 3,300, so that's 3,300 more than that, missing children who have been exploited, who are exploited illegal alien children. And they were lost in the previous administration. This just happened this week. He
Yeah.
reported that they were lost in the previous administration, but the Trump administration has located the children, and that's not being reported by mainstream media.
Oh, of course not.
So
No.
Sad.
it is sad. It really is. So
But that and the depths to which we think we know the corruption goes doesn't even come close to scratching the surface.
No.
no.
And that's the really, really sad part.
It is.
So the other thing we kind of wanted to talk about, I think we've kind of really exhausted this, but if we need to come back to it, we can. Is that the Super Bowl happened? Super Bowl 60 this past week, and you guys can tell us out there. Did you watch the Super Bowl game? And if so, who were you rooting for?
And it should probably be the Seahawks.
Well,
since we're
So
we're
the-
either Washington or within 20 miles or so of Washington. Probably not even. No, you're not even 20 miles. It's less than that.
Yep.
Get to the border.
So, but yes, the Seahawks did win. Also, did you watch? The question is, did you watch the Super Bowl halftime show? And if so, what did you like or dislike about it? Or did you watch an alternative halftime show, the TPUSA All American halftime show? We watched it, the three of us, and it was just they didn't have a lot of time to prepare, but Kid Rock was on there.
It was good. Obviously, I mean, the genre that we like is country. So
Yeah, so we liked it, but
It was cool how Kid Rock, when he first came out and he was in those shorts
yeah,
and he was really dancing around and jumping around and everything, that was him showing his previous life.
right.
And then when he did his last song, that it
Mhm.
was all
Country.
really country, spiritual.
And on that topic is that he actually wrote a third verse to that song that he sang, which was he sang Cody Johnson's "Till You Can't," but he added a third verse, or I don't know if it was third, but he added a new verse about finding Jesus, and he
Mhm.
performed it under his birth name,
Robert Ritchie. Yep. That's awesome.
So,
The only thing that was lacking in the halftime show, as far as I'm concerned, is I was kind of hoping to see a couple of the more mainstream, like Carrie Underwood.
I
You know.
think they were. See the what I heard is that a lot of them were under a certain record label or something who said
Contracts.
you do that and we will,
We're done.
you know.
Mm.
So so anyway, they had to be. They
So
didn't have-
everybody
they only
preaches-
had 3 months anyway to get this ready. So
Sure.
Everybody preaches unity, but it's unity as long as you follow my rules.
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm sure next year
It'll be
um,
different.
Yeah, I
well,
think
they
so
have a
too.
year to perform or plan. Excuse me, a year to plan. So I think it'll be different. But I don't know about all of the, and we know that. What is her name? Um, the short black girl who's come on with, she sings rap.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember her name.
Uh,
That she's turned more MAGA.
yeah,
The
she's
chick
turned
from
mega.
Puerto Rico
Oh,
or
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
Puerto
She
Rico
came
or
out
somewhere.
holding hands with Trump.
Right.
Yeah. No, I know who
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Yeah. So anyway, but so the one thing that we did not want to watch the halftime show with Bad Bunny a lot because we don't want to listen to something in total
He doesn't
Spanish.
represent anything not that even Kid Rock's life represents my life, but there's nothing about Bad Bunny that there's nothing about Bad Bunny that brings any amount of unity to our country. It has nothing to do with maybe he's Puerto Rico, maybe he speaks to the Puerto Rican
Well, interestingly
constituent, but
enough, many Spanish-speaking people said that they couldn't even understand.
even Puerto Ricans.
Yeah, even Puerto Ricans said they couldn't understand him. So
I didn't even know the man even existed until
No, I
yeah,
didn't
I
either,
didn't
'cause
either.
they said
because
so,
something about the halftime show.
Yeah. Yeah.
if you anyway, it's
So on
The
the
lyrics, there was a deal on the lyrics, and I mean, even if I had the lyrics in front of me, I wouldn't repeat them.
exactly,
No.
they were so
They
bad.
were really, really
Vulgar.
horribly vulgar and
Yeah.
inappropriate.
The thing that bothers me with it all is just the conditioning. It's just, I hate the conditioning that is always happening to degrade, honestly, what God is asking of our lives and what
Mhm.
He is asking in order to heal our country. And maybe on that side note, as my parting shot anyway, we've got to remember that in Babylon, God separated the languages, God separated the people, and because they were wanting to play God. And so, he'll heal our nations, he'll heal our world, he'll remove the borders, all of those things are promised, but we can't keep doing. Anytime man tries to get involved and bring unity by bringing stupid things like Bad Bunny in, all it does is divide. It's not going to it's not going to bring the unity. And so if God's the one that caused the divisions, even what we've said a couple different times where Christ didn't come to bring peace to the world, but to bring division.
Yep.
So we may as well just accept it. And if we really want unity, then we need to figure out why they're not, because that's where the unity is going to come from.
Mm-hmm.
So on the TPUSA All American halftime show, we watched it on YouTube, and there was 5 million that tuned in during the halftime show, and we did hear. I think it was last night that over all of the different platforms that carried the TPUSA All American halftime show, there was somewhere around 24 million people who watched.
50.
50 million? Okay.
50.
Wow.
I couldn't remember what the,
Yeah,
I
you
knew
hear
it
different
was
numbers.
a large number. And
Mhm.
so you figure if that many people tuned out,
That's just
it
absolutely
hit-
awesome.
Yeah.
It hurt their ratings seriously. But,
I don't think they're worried about. They've got such a need to push their agenda that, just like the Bud Light thing. There was nobody sitting in the boardrooms of Bud Light that thought it was that could have honestly looked at their demographics that drank Bud Light and went, "Yes, Dylan Mulvaney, he's
Yeah.
a great idea."
I
He's a
say I
great
don't know
idea.
that they're ever going to live that down because
So this was the morning after, real early in, before they had all the numbers added up.
Mhm.
I think I sent you guys a picture of the
Yep, you did.
18.184 million for TPUSA and 1.413 million for Bad Bunny. So, like 15 or 16 times more
Yeah.
to TPUSA.
Yeah, I thought they said there was something because the amount of people that watched the game was like 30 some million people.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was a lot.
Yeah, it's
But
huge.
but when the halftime came on, it dropped by, I don't remember if it was like half or maybe not quite half. So it dropped by quite a bit, but they still had like 20,000 or 20 million people tuning in. But,